Hi friends. So I've got a couple of pictures that I would like to share with you today. And they're kind of special pictures because they're a little bit in disguise. So let me show you the first one. The first one I'm going to hold up here. What is the first thing that you see when you look at this picture? Now some of you might see a tree. Some of you might see a lion. Some of you, if you look closely, you might see a gorilla. What do you see when you see this picture? Here in the center, the black makes a tree. Over here, you can see the ear and the eyes and the nose and the mouth of a gorilla. And over on this side, we've got the ears, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth of a lion. There's a lot of things in disguise in this one picture. Let's look at the second picture I have for you. Now, what do you see when I hold up this picture? I see a couple of things, and I'm going to hold it in different ways to try to make it easier to see. Now, if I tilt the picture a little bit this way, what do you see? Do you see a bunny rabbit with its ears and its eye? And here would be its nose. Now, if I turn it this way a little bit, what do you see? When I hold it this way, I see a duck. I see its head, its eyes, and here, what used to be the bunny ears now look like a duck beak. These are pictures that are in disguise. Well, last week we talked about how Jesus appeared to his friends and disciples, and they had a hard time believing that it was him until they could see. They knew that he had died on the cross. They saw the nail wounds in his hand, the spear wound in his side, and they believed it was him. Well, that wasn't the only time Jesus appeared to his friends. A few days after Jesus died and was raised from the dead, two of his followers were walking down the road to a village called Emmaus. And as they were walking, they were talking. And all of a sudden, Jesus appeared with them. Now, they didn't recognize it was Jesus somehow. We don't know if it's because Jesus, maybe his body looked a little bit differently after he arose, or for some reason, God kept them from being able to see who he really was. But in essence, he was in disguise because they didn't recognize him. So he joined them, and as they're walking and talking, Jesus said, "What are you talking about?" And the guys said, "Haven't you heard? Where have you been?" Oh my goodness. And they proceeded to tell Jesus about Jesus. They talked about how Jesus had been taken to the ruler and was put to death on a cross. And 3 days later, they went to the tomb, and the tomb was empty, just as Jesus had said. And Jesus continued to walk with them and just listen. And he kind of pointed out some things that had been foretold that this would happen. Well, when the two guys got to Emmaus, they invited Jesus to stay with them as it was getting late. They still didn't realize it was Jesus. So they went in, they sat down for a meal. Jesus took the bread, gave thanks, and broke it. And it was at that point that the guys realized, oh my goodness, this is Jesus with us. All of a sudden, he was no longer in disguise to them. They could see very clearly who he was. And they rejoiced because what a blessing to them. Here was their friend. Here was the person that they loved so much. He was alive. He was with them. And what a tremendous blessing that was. Well, just like with these pictures that I brought, we don't always see everything clearly right at first. God is always at work in our lives. He's always doing things. He always has our best interest in mind and at heart, but we don't always see what's going on, especially when times are tough, when things are hard, when circumstances aren't quite what we want. Sometimes it's hard to see the good and see that God is with us and that he's got us in this. You know, right now we're going through a time that's very different. Things look different. Things don't look normal. We're missing our friends at school. We're missing our normal routines. We're missing the places that we like to go and our friends and family. And some days, it's a lot of fun and it's an adventure. And some days it just feels hard and it feels unsettling and we wish things would go back to normal. Well, even in these times, God is with us and He is doing good works in our lives, even if we can't see it. You may have heard your parents or your grandparents or your teachers use a phrase that says blessings in disguise. Well, that's one of the things that God challenges us to do right now. And any time that things are tough, is to look for the blessings in disguise. Look for things that are happening that may not be immediately obvious, but that are just amazing things that let us know that we're loved and we're cared about in our lives. There's so much good around. We just have to look for it. Sorry, my cat is joining us today. So as you go through your week, if you ever find yourself thinking, man, this is hard, what is all of this for? I challenge you to take a closer look. Look harder at what's in front of you. Look harder at the picture and look at all the different things that you might be able to see that you might miss when you look first. Look for those blessings in disguise and give thanks for all the good things that are happening, even when life seems different and life seems a little unsettling. Just look for those blessings in disguise, and they will show you that God is with us. He's got our best interest in mind, and He is walking with us the whole way. So that's my challenge for you this week. Just look for all the many blessings in disguise that are in your lives, and just try to share God's love with others in any way that you can. I miss you guys. I love you guys, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.